Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to go over Cycle 2, Week 3 of New Grammar for CC. My name is Emily. I tutor the Abecedarians and the young apprentices. So I'm just going to share what we did in our class today and how it worked. First, we did geography. I used a song from CC Happy Mom that I'd seen on other people's channels. The first thing we did though was I showed the kids the places on the map and they pointed to them and said the name 3 times. So the first place we went was Ireland, so we pointed to Ireland and said Ireland, Ireland, Ireland. Then after we went all the way around, I taught them the song, and it goes like this. It's to the tune of London Bridges. So it goes Ireland, England, France and Spain, Portugal, round again. Ireland, England, France and Spain, Portugal. So after I taught them the song, we used Smarties. I said, because y'all are such smarties, we're gonna take a Smartie and move it around the map. So they each got just one candy out of a pack. And they moved it around as we sang the song. And we did that to get the memory work in 7 times, and then then they got to eat the Smartie at the end. Next we did timeline. For timeline, because I have such young kids in the class, we do snack time during timeline. So as they're eating their snack, I show them the card, and I say the name of the card, and then they repeat it to me, and I set the cards up on the board in order after I say each one. Then I play the song on my phone, and 2 students at a time come up and they use little finger pointers and they point to the cards in order as they hear them in the song. So we got the memory work in 4 times that way. So we had 3 times left for the last 3 things. I went up to the board. They all had to close their eyes, and I took a card away from the timeline order, and then they opened their eyes and they had to raise their hand, and whoever thought they knew which one I had taken away had to go up to the board, and most of them were able to point out where I had taken it from, even though I closed all the gaps, but they weren't all able to say the name of the card that they knew was missing. But it was a really good activity because it forced them to recall the name of the card. So we did that for the last 3 times. Then for science, for herbivore, we did this with our hand to represent an herb or grass or a plant. So I said, this is my plant that I'm growing. This is grass. What is your plant? So we went around and some said lettuce, a lot said flowers. And so then we had our herbivore come and eat it. And then we had this hand represent meat, and I said mine was steak, and they all went around and said what theirs were. A lot of people said sharks or fish. And then we had the carnivore come and eat the meat. And then we are omnivores, so we ate both. So we did those signs 3 or 4 times with the kids, and then I did some of the signs and asked them which type of consumer I was. So I did this and asked them which one I was, and they answered. Okay, so next we did math. For the 5s, first I pointed up on the board to the numbers, and I went through the numbers and they repeated after me. So 5, 5, 10, 10, just to make sure they knew all the numbers. And then we took our hand, which has 5 fingers on it, and we slapped it on the table and we counted through the 5s twice. Then I partnered them up and they gave each other high fives as we counted through the 5s twice. And for the last 2 times, we gave ourselves high fives by clapping, and we clapped through the 5s the last 2 times. For the 6s, I did the same thing where I pointed to the board and said the number, and they repeated after me. And then I had them get up and push their chairs in, and they all skipped around the table as we sang the song. And the song covers the numbers twice. So we did the song once, and then we did Ring Around the Rosie for 2 more of the songs. So we got the 6s in 7 times that way. So for Ring Around the Rosie, I played the song, all the kids held hands in a circle, and they went around, walked around in a circle, and then when the song ended, they all fell on the ground. So they did that twice, and that was really fun. Okay, after math, we did history. I used the timeline card that they suggested in the curriculum, the Crusades timeline card, to show the kids, to get an idea of what the Crusades were. Yes, and so then as I read out the sentence and they repeated after me, I also taught them the hand motions. So for lion-hearted, we did this, like a lion. For sun, we did this, like for a baby. For fought the Turks, we did this, like we had swords. I told them they could use 2 swords, they could use their fists to show fighting. Just be careful of their neighbors and not hit their neighbors. For the time, we did this, during the time. And then for Crusades, we did this, which represents like a shield that the soldiers would have carried with the cross on it for Crusades. And then for the last 2 dates, we did from 1095 to 1291. So we emphasized those last numbers, 95, yeah, and 91. And then we did Latin. Oh wait, so for history, we went through, I taught them the hand motions. We went through the song twice, so they got the hand motions in 4 more times. And then for the last 2 times, I played the song and just let them dance to it however they wanted, because this was a really catchy tune, and everyone just wanted to dance to it. So we danced to it the last 2 times. And then we did Latin. For Latin, I used these Latin cue cards I got from CC Connected, which I can link in the description for you. I'll be linking a lot of things in the description. If I got any of these ideas from somebody else's video, I'll link to that video for you to see. But anyway, sorry. So this is the imperfect tense, starts with bomb. So for imperfect tense, if I give you a bomb, that means things are not perfect, so they're imperfect. So that helps the kids remember that the imperfect tense starts with bomb. So we did a lot of bomb things for our actions for this one. So first we went through, I pronounced all the endings and the kids repeated after me. Then we did this hand motion where our hands got bigger and bigger and bigger until we got to bont at the end. And so we did that through the song twice. And then when we listened through the song again, we jumped to each ending. And then when we listened to the song the last time, we pretended like our bodies were bombs, and so we crouched down at the beginning, so bomb, and then for boss, we got up a little bit higher, and we kept going higher and higher until bont, we were all the way up here with our hands up. And the second time through, we jumped up like we exploded. And that was a big hit. The kids loved jumping up and being bombs. And then the last thing we did was English. We used a chant. And I guess first I'll show you what we did for the hand motions. So for first person singular, we use one hand, first person singular. Second person singular, we use 2 fingers and point to our neighbor. And third person singular, we do this for other people in the room or other people around. Then first person plural, We did this, second person plural and third person plural. And so the song goes like this. First person singular, oops, one hand, okay. First person singular, second person singular, third person singular, pronoun order. First person plural, second person plural, third person plural, pronoun order. So it's just kind of like a little chant. Yep, and that's all we did. So we chanted through that a few times and we covered everything. It was a really good class this week. So for review, we used the Smarties on the maps to review the last 2 weeks plus this week's new grammar. I also used goldfish on the maps for the waters part. And then for timeline, I brought all the timeline cards for the last 3 weeks, and I split them up into chunks. So I had the kids put the timeline cards in order for the first week. We left them on the floor, and then they did the second week right next to it. And so by the end, we got to see all 3 weeks lined up, and that was really neat. And we kind of sang through the song to help us if we were getting off track. And then the last thing we did for review was we made crystal castles. So I split the table up into 2 sides, and we never really do competitive games in my class. We just do cooperative games. So we weren't doing this as a competition. But I set up the base of the castle, so I had 4 of these in front of each team. And as they got their answers right to the grammar for the last 3 weeks, they would get a cup. Even if they just got one part of it right, even if they just got a word, like from the history sentence, they'd get a cup and they could put it on their crystal castle. And they were trying to build them as high as they could. The math was really good because we just chanted through it and all the kids could chant through it, so everybody got a cup, because some of the really little kids were feeling left out. So that was a good way to break it up, like do the 5s and then do some more memory work and then do the 6s. And then at the end of each week, so we reviewed week 3's work. At the end of week 3's work, I told them, all right, knock down your crystal castles, and they knocked down the cups, and they had a great fun with that, and they all helped pick them up and collect them for me. And we actually ran out of time and weren't able to review week 2 or 3, 2 or 1. But anyway, we've been doing this in our class since last year. We did it for most reviews last year, and it's still a big hit with the kids. They still really enjoy it. So I hope that you're able to implement something like that in your class and have a good time. All right, well, if you have any questions or any fun ideas for cooperative games for review, I'm always looking for those. Just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. All right, see you next week.